we can de-stress them, reduce the load on them, help everybody. So by working together, and we can already see a little bit of that almost immediately from this meeting here.
So let's get you and I work a calendar on that, and I'll work with the superintendent and the associate superintendent. Is that who you're thinking, the associate superintendent?
Absolutely. And and the thing is, cooperate, teamwork. The easiest thing in the world is to blame somebody else until you go stand in their shoes and realize nothing too much fun is happening there either. And so we can get by this if we work together.
Let me say something about the 20 days, just to answer that question. We did put a memo early on because it is a SACE problem. It's not your fault that you're not able to submit the 20 days. We have put a memo, we have waived that requirement for you in case you get audited. Another thing will be, and this will be part of the changes to fiscal year 12, it will be a recommended every 20 days, is not a must. Because really, it's not in the statute. It was just something that was required. I'm not sure where it came from. It will be a recommended procedure. It will not be a must-do thing. So you will not be having an audit.
Okay, a little alarm bells going off here, Yousef. When you say we waive the 20 days, life still has to go on and reports still have to be filed. Would it be more appropriate to say we're extending the 20 days to 30 days or what the?
That's not the way the statute's worded, though.
Well, we'll change the statute,
Statute says AD cannot require it any.
The way that practice got started was there's a statute that says that the state cannot require us to submit data more frequently than 20 days. A long time ago, whether it was either a misread or just we wanted it as weak.
We as in you.
I happen to also wear both shoes. ADE to now in the trenches. So I have a little perspective on both sides. So in the beginning, that legal requirement was that the state could not require more often than 20 days. And in the beginning, whether it was a misinterpretation or just a desire, the state went to that limit and said, okay, then every 20 days it is. After a while, now that states is all bogged down, we actually had districts that were all done submitting their data, but 20 days, let's submit it again. So it created this artificial traffic that didn't need to be there.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the auditors, they have in their compliance questionnaire, they're looking for that 20 days. So unless we remove that from the compliance questionnaire, we're going to get audited to it. So by what Yousef's saying.
So what you're saying is, if you remove the 20 days, you won't get these double submissions.
Exactly.
So that alone would.
There's only two legal requirements to submit SACE data. It's the 40th and the 100th.
Okay. Having said that, if we eliminate the 20 days, what are the potential?
Everyone would love you.
But in terms of you can visualize, but is our reports going to be filed? Are things going to be done? It'll still all go well, even though if we eliminate the 20 days?
You would only be submitting data if you had to, not just to meet this frequency requirement.
So if I bear down and get rid of the 20 days, I'm not going to get my head chopped off at some later date? Okay, I'll get rid of the 20 days. Okay.
That brings the question to, will we be able to reconcile our record and the reports on AD website? I mean, the 40 and the 100-day reports, I haven't seen any of them yet. So that's going to help to eliminate that if we're able to have these reports to reconcile our records.
But, okay, can we talk to that issue a little bit, the 40 and the 100-day? And we may need to get you to repeat the question there.
Yeah, please. That was a good one.
What I was saying is that when you eliminate that 20 days, which would probably be a great thing to do, when our schools do our submissions, how are we going to be able to reconcile it if the reports aren't posted on the website? Because I haven't seen a 40th day posting yet to reconcile even up to 40th days. Even though we're not paying on that, we still need to reconcile to make sure our data is there correctly.
this is the aggregation problem that I talked about at the beginning, the 40 and 100-day aggregation. You're right. We have not posted a 40-day aggregation. But what I would say that you could use as a report effective this week is the SAYS, integrity report to see if you're actively reflected, and I recommend you use that. We'll have aggregation next year. I won't promise. One thing that my counterpart who was in this office used to promise a lot, I can't promise what I don't know. And the biggest challenge that we have on aggregation is not unknown what's going to come out of legislature, when I get it out of legislature, when the business rules are by the different departments defined, so IT can make the fixes. In the perfect world, I'd love to have aggregation to you at the 40th day. But based on all the steps that we look at today, I would have had to start an aggregation for next year's aggregation now, writing the code. I am still writing the code today for 2011 aggregation. It will be done March 21st, which is a month and a half earlier than you had last year. I know that's not a good excuse, but we hope to have, so I think a light that you shall have next year is you'll have 100 days on time. I can't promise 40, but use the SAYS integrity report to see what your update is right. Because just because you could get into a habit of not updating. And that's what worries me about the take the 20. But that's fine. You're right. We should have arbitrary rules.
Well,
it's your job to update.
So let's be careful here. The 20 days, I have to be cautious here a little bit. It's easy for me to say I can get rid of 20 days. Fully talk about your concern about the 20-day issue.
Well, it's just that in their day-to-day business on the business side, they may forget to check and update. They have it in their mind now, I got to do it every certain time. Without that in their mind, it's better for business as long as, I guess what we need to do is check, if you do this policy, we have to do a check to see if we're starting to lose people. And what I worry about is not so much the big ones, theirs is probably automated. I'm more worried about our rural and smaller districts who aren't represented in here and who won't get that message and won't update. Yes, ma'am.
So there's a chance that somebody will come back to cut my head off. So having said that, what we're going to do, let me be very exact about this. We're going to commit to a thorough review of the 20 days. Think if we can come up with something that's more sophisticated, maybe some kind of staggered requirements or something. So I commit to this, to thoroughly evaluating it from your standpoint and the comments that you made this morning, and see if we can come up with something that addresses the issues without having us lose some of the reporting that we have to make the system work.
You know, the 40th day, the 100th day, these requirements, this is the last year you're going to have those. You know that. And it is changing. You will no longer have 40th day and 100th day. So you will have 4 point times when the system will be aggregated right after each point in time. Hopefully we get to do that, which we discussing it now with advisory committee from your group. You have representatives from both charters, districts, and JTIF that are coming to our office, and we're discussing with them to put these business rules in place. And we will be addressing all these issues. And we have asked them specifically, what are you seeing that's not working, and how can we improve it? That includes the reports, include our business rules. So we will address all these issues with the change that's going to take place in fiscal year 12 going forward. In terms of the 40-day and 100-day, it's really, in a way, pointless to kind of try to fix something that's going away. This is the last year for it. You will not have 40-day and 100-day report in next fiscal year. So, we're going to fix it. The system needs to be a lot of fixes. Probably by the time we're able to fix these problems, the year is going to be over anyway. So I see it pointless to kind of look at the past, since the future is a little bit different than the past. But we are working with advisory committee from you, from the schools. You guys are guiding us and advising us as we go. Now, we have obviously responsibility to be in compliance with the law. We're not going to change something that is not going to be in compliance with the law. But if as long as we're able to do it, and it is within the law and within the guidance of the superintendent, we will do it to help you and improve the process. That's the direction we're taking. And as I mentioned in my presentation, I'll talk a little bit more about the advisory committee and their role and how they're helping us in this process. And we have a representative from IT that will be in that group as well, so they are in the loop as we go. So when the right requirements are written to change things, it will be hopefully much faster and more transparent than it was in the past.
Are there people in this team also in that group?
They are actually from here, they volunteer.
Good. So there's somebody over here.
Hi, thank you for taking time to come out here today. We really appreciate your time. Part of SACE is not only uploading and downloading and getting our files processed, it's actually knowing what needs to be in the file. I'm really discouraged that there is not a living and breathing document on school finance that tells us what we need to be sending out. So specifically, our children are identified as having a need. Maybe they're unaccompanied minor. Maybe they are receiving Title I services, and what support program they get. There is not one document, not a specific document on ADE's website that I can go to as a SACE coordinator for the district and make sure that I'm sending out correct information. There are documents on the website that are 910, 89, 78 that you have to individually read that year and put it in your system, and then you go on to the next year and go, oh, look, they changed that, so now I've got to go take it out and fix it. We, as SACE coordinators for our district, who oversee the SPED, the ELL, the gifted, the food service, who oversee all that, need one document that we can go to that shows the regulations that are coming down that we have to report, and currently that document does not exist.
Okay. Wow.
Let me grab this mic. Let me help the boss on this. We have been here a few weeks. I'm not saying that's a cop-out, but there is no documentation, or the documentation is, like you said. The system, believe it or not, is built just like you said.
Which we're suffering, but I wanted to also just bring that to light, that we not only need the system fixed, we need the documentation to back what we as...
There should be one living documentation. The thing that most IT organizations, when they build a system, builds living documentation. It's called user guides. There is no SACE user guide. We will take that as an initiative as we look to building a new SACE user, because to go back would cost us more money than we have to try to write a new SACE user guide.
Well, school finance had tried to do that a few years ago, to actually put the document together, and then it just stopped. And so that document that they started about 2 years ago was wonderful and extremely helpful, because it said when certain things started and when they ended, depending on regulations. So if that document could be brought back to life, that would be awesome.
I won't promise we'll take it. I guess we need to take a look.
Yes, that would be great.
This would help our vendors as well, because I came up against a situation where with the ethnicity reporting, Arizona was in compliance with what the feds were requiring as far as what they wanted us to set up. And then the SACE transaction format was changed at state. Our vendor never got the message, so I got kicked back all of my my initial applications because my ethnicity format in that transaction was incorrect. So a document like she's helped the vendors as well, and they probably needed a lot of.
Well, they need a separate document. There's two documents needed. One is a user's guide, which has addendums for every change and cross-references to change. So there'd be a red line in the main document, see addendum 4 or addendum 5. That doesn't exist. Most systems have that. Second thing that you just said is it needs technical documentation, which also has the living document from the time it was created until the time it ends. That technical documentation needs to be shared with vendors, so they know what changes were made and why and when. We don't just make changes. We make changes because the business tells us to make them. We got more work to do than think about changes. So but those documents don't exist. To create it for a system that has a very limited short shelf life, hopefully this will help the superintendent articulate the need for the replacement of SAYs faster than and earlier than later. And what I'm hearing is one of the requirements must